I went bankrupt and became homeless, so I begged my children for a place to stay. My eldest son, now a wealthy businessman, slammed the door shut right in front of my face. My second child, a doctor, only let me sit for a few minutes before telling me to leave and handing me $50. Only my youngest son, a construction laborer living a simple life, welcomed me with open arms. He was even ready to sell his wedding ring just to buy me food. The next morning, something completely unexpected happened, something that would make my ungrateful children regret everything. Before the story begins, please write in the comments where you're watching from. Don't forget to like and subscribe so the channel Stories with Meaning can continue growing and bringing you more meaningful stories. The rain had softened into a drizzle as I sat beneath the dark overhang of a closed storefront. The night air cut through my worn jacket. On my lap lay a black plastic bag containing a few clothes and a thin blanket. Beside me was a small suitcase with a broken wheel. That was all my life amounted to now. Across the street, a massive billboard glowed brightly. A man in a sharp suit smiled confidently beneath bold letters. Adrian Clark, Clark Property Group and Family Restaurants. To everyone else, he was a successful entrepreneur. To me, he was the boy I used to bathe in a tiny bathroom, the child I held when he burned with fever, my eldest son. Cars stopped at the red light. Some passengers glanced at me, then quickly looked away. To them, I was just another homeless old woman waiting for charity. They didn't know I was a mother of 3, Adrian, Claire, and Lucas. They didn't know I once owned a house, small and simple, but it was ours. I stared at my wrinkled hands. These hands once carried children, lifted sacks of rice, stirred pots of soup. I still remember the day my husband and I first held the keys to that house. The walls were freshly painted, the floors were bare, but we laughed like children. "From today on, we finally have a home," my husband said. In the front yard, we planted a small mango tree. At that time, Adrian and Claire were already in elementary school. Lucas was still small enough to carry in my arms. Every morning, the house was noisy. Adrian ran around looking for socks. Claire cried while I fixed her hair. Lucas rushed into the kitchen searching for bread. I shouted for them to eat breakfast. My husband opened a small family supply shop in front of the house. During the day, he served customers. At night, we counted loose change on the dining table. He often said, "Adrian will become a great man. Claire will become a doctor. And Lucas, he just needs to be a good person." We were never rich, but we were full of hope. When Adrian was accepted to college in Chicago, we sold inherited land to pay his tuition. "This is for Adrian's future," my husband said. "He deserves a better life than ours." Years later, Claire wanted to continue her studies and specialize in medicine. "Just one more time, Mom, Dad," she said. "When I become a specialist, everything will be easier." Once again, we tightened our belts. My husband worked longer hours. I took more baking orders. Only Lucas never asked for anything. After high school, he chose to work right away, sometimes at the shop, sometimes as a construction laborer, sometimes helping neighbors fix leaking roofs. Quietly, I often felt guilty. It felt like all our money and prayers went to Adrian and Claire, while Lucas stood behind them, smiling, accepting whatever was left. Everything changed when my husband fell ill. At first, it was just a cough, then fatigue. Then he couldn't get out of bed. The hospital said his lungs and heart were failing. Our savings vanished one by one. Medical bills piled up. By then, Claire was already a doctor, but she said, "This isn't my specialty, Mom. I can help with the paperwork." We still had to pay everything ourselves. On his last night, My husband held my hand tightly. "Take care of the children," he whispered, "especially Lucas. He's the gentlest, but the easiest to hurt." Then his breathing stopped. After he passed, the house felt emptier. The shop lost customers. Debt crept in. Adrian came home less and less, always busy with projects and meetings. Claire drowned in hospital shifts. They still visited occasionally, bringing fruit and a little cash, but they always left quickly. "Sorry, Mom, I really can't stay long." Only Lucas came often, fixing whatever was broke, making sure I ate, taking me to the clinic when I felt dizzy. Now I sat beneath the storefront, staring at Adrian's smiling face on the billboard. My stomach growled softly. In my jacket pocket, my old phone felt heavy. Tomorrow morning, I would have to decide which of my children's doors I would knock on. The foreclosure notice was final. I held back my tears as I handed over the house key. "I'm sorry, ma'am," one of them said quietly. "This is procedure." I simply nodded. Outside, neighbors stood in front of their homes, watching from behind curtains. Some approached, patting my shoulder, whispering words of patience. Others only murmured among themselves. Lucas lifted my suitcase onto the back of his old motorcycle. His rental was far smaller than the house I had lost, but that night there was nowhere else for me to go. During the ride, I clutched my cloth bag tightly against my chest. The hot wind slapped my face, but inside I felt frozen. The house we built with sweat and prayers disappeared in a single day. My husband was gone. Our home was gone. And my two most successful children only had time for hurried words over the phone. That night, in Lucas's cramped rental, I lay on a thin foam mattress. Beside me, Anna and Oliver slept pressed close together. Lucas sat on the floor staring at the electricity and water bills. "Mom," he said softly, realizing I was still awake, "this place will feel even smaller if you stay too long." He hesitated. "I'm happy you're with us, but I'm afraid I can't give you a proper life." I stared at the peeling ceiling. "You've already done more than enough, Lucas." He shook his head. "Adrian and Claire are more capable. Maybe you could stay with them for a while so you can rest properly. I'll work extra shifts, save money. One day we'll find a better place for you." His words stabbed my chest. The poorest child was the one pushing me toward his siblings, for my sake. That night I didn't answer. But the next morning, when the neighbor's rooster crowed and sunlight slipped through the window cracks, I knew what I had to do. I would knock on the doors of the children I had raised with my entire life. I wouldn't beg for money, only for a small corner to place an old mattress and my aging body. That morning, I awoke before dawn. At Lucas's rental, I sat at the edge of the bed wearing my neatest clothes. A small cloth bag filled with clothes and medicine rested on the floor. Anna poured tea in the kitchen. "So you're going to Adrian and Claire's?" she asked gently. I nodded. "I'll try. I don't want to burden you any more." Lucas came out of the bathroom. "I'll take you, Mom. No work today." Minutes later, we rode his old motorcycle through narrow alleys, then onto the main road. I held the edge of my jacket as we passed a billboard with Adrian Clark's name on it. His gated residential complex was guarded. Tall fences, neatly lined houses. Lucas's motorcycle looked painfully out of place. After a short call, the security guard let us in. Adrian's house was large. White walls, 2 gleaming cars in the driveway. Lucas turned off the engine. "I'll wait here, Mom." I walked to the door. One knock, The door opened, and Sophia appeared in a clean house dress. "Oh, Mom," she said, startled. "Good morning," I said softly. "Is Adrian home?" From inside, his voice called, "Who is it, honey?" He appeared, hair neatly styled. When he saw me, he paused, then forced a thin smile. "Mom, why didn't you call before coming?" He glanced toward the street. "I don't have a house anymore," I said quietly. "The bank took it. I stayed with Lucas, but it's very small. I just wanted to ask if I could stay here for a while. I can help around the house. I won't ask for anything." Sophia sighed. "Adrian, we often have social gatherings. If Mom stays here, it'll be hard to explain to people." Adrian rubbed his head. "It's not that, Mom. All the rooms are already in use. Kevin and Luna need their own space. My office is here, too." He lowered his voice. "What will people think? A successful businessman whose mother has to stay with him? My reputation could suffer. I only need a thin mattress. Even a corner is fine." "Mom, don't say that," he deflected. "I'll help in another way. I can send money to Lucas or rent you a small room, but staying here, it's complicated." Sophia nodded quickly. "Yes, Mom, you'll be more comfortable elsewhere. This house is too busy." "So I can't stay here?" I asked. Adrian exhaled deeply. "Not for now, Mom. I'm sorry. I have an appointment." He turned to Sophia. "Please walk Mom to the gate." Sophia stepped forward, blocking the doorway. "Let's go outside, Mom. Don't stand here. Neighbors might see." Before I could speak, the door closed with a heavy thud. I stood still for several seconds. Behind that wood was the child I once held close. Now he feared people's opinions more than my eyes. I walked down the steps. Lucas was already standing by the motorcycle. "How did it go, Mom?" he asked quietly. I shook my head. "Let's go to Claire's." Claire's house also had a metal gate and neatly trimmed plants. I pressed the bell button. She appeared wearing her doctor's uniform, bag on her shoulder. "Mom? Why so sudden?" I sat on the porch chair. The door only opened a crack. "The bank took my house," I said softly. "I stayed with Lucas, but it's very tight. I just wanted to ask if I could stay here for a bit. I can help around the house. I won't ask for anything." Claire checked her watch. "Mom, I'm in a rush. My schedule is packed. If you stay here, I'll have to worry about you too. The rooms are full. Vivian needs a study room. I work night shifts. If you get sick, it'll stress me out even more." "But I don't have anywhere else," I whispered. She sighed, then reached into her wallet and pulled out a $5 bill. "Here, Mom, for food and transportation. There are plenty of government programs. Assisted living centers are good these days. You shouldn't rely on your children forever. We have our own lives." I stared at the bill. The same amount I once sent her when she was in college, when my husband and I rationed rice to survive. My hand trembled as I took it. "So, I can't stay here?" "It's not that you can't," she replied quickly. "I just truly can't handle it. I need to go." She turned inside. "Vivian, don't open the door for strangers," she called out. My chest tightened. I was now considered a stranger in my own home. Claire walked me to the gate and closed it with a click. Then she left me standing on the sidewalk with $5 in my hand. I returned to Lucas's motorcycle. He looked at my face and understood immediately. "Let's go home, Mom," he said gently. "To the rental?" he asked. I nodded. "Yes, That seems to be our only home now. As we rode back, the afternoon wind hit my face. 2 grand doors had closed on me that day. At the end of the road, only a crooked wooden door in a narrow alley awaited. But it was the only place that still called me Mom, without conditions. We have to do something. Lucas let out a heavy breath, then stood up. He opened the small drawer beneath the plastic wardrobe and took out a worn red velvet box. I knew that box. It was their wedding ring box. I think this is the time, he said quietly. Anna immediately covered her mouth. The ring was simple, a thin gold band they had bought with savings from years of hard work before they got married. I still remembered the day they came home from the jewelry store, laughing like children because they could finally marry with rings they bought themselves. "I'm sorry, Anna," Lucas said, his voice trembling. "I don't have anything else left. Let the ring go. What matters is Mom and Oliver can eat and get medicine. We can buy another one someday, when things are better." Tears fell instantly from Anna's eyes. "I started from zero with you," she said softly. "I didn't marry you for gold. I married you for you. But if this is the only way, then so be it." She wiped her cheeks quickly. "As long as we stay together." I sat frozen. No words came out of my mouth. It felt like something was choking my throat. They prepared to leave. Anna held the ring box tightly. Lucas put on his jacket. "We'll go to the pawn shop near the market," Anna said, "and buy fever medicine for Oliver. You watch Oliver, Mom." I could only nod. After the door closed, I looked at my grandson lying there. His small forehead was still warm. The damp cloth had heated up. I replaced it with another, holding back my tears. A few hours later, Lucas and Anna returned carrying plastic bags. Inside were rice, eggs, cooking oil, and liquid medicine. They looked exhausted, but relieved. "Mom, do you want to eat first?" Anna asked. My eyes went to their ring fingers. Empty. No rings. "How much did you get for them?" I asked quietly. "Not much," Lucas replied with a small smile, "but enough for a few days. That's enough." I couldn't hold it anymore. Tears streamed down my face. "Forgive me," I sobbed. "Because of you, you have to live like this." Lucas hurried to sit beside me. "Don't say that, Mom. You're not a burden. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be anything. You worked yourself to the bone raising us. Now it's our turn to take care of you. We may be poor, but at least we're together." Anna nodded. "Yes, Mom. Money can be earned again. A house can be found again. But a mother, there's only one." I cried quietly. Out there, my 2 other children lived in big houses, appeared on television, praised by strangers. Here, my youngest son had sold his wedding ring just to feed his mother. That night, when everyone had fallen asleep, I held Oliver close. His fever had begun to drop. For the first time, I felt anger, not at life, but at my other children. Yet, beneath that anger, something else slowly grew, a quiet determination to stop surrendering. The next morning, I had just finished sweeping the floor when a woman's voice called from outside. "Miss Whitman? Mrs. Whitman?" I opened the door. A middle-aged woman stood there, sun-darkened skin, wearing a faded long-sleeved shirt and cloth pants. In her hands were a plastic bag and an old brown envelope. "Do you remember me?" she asked hesitantly. I squinted. I'm Mina, ma'am," she said quickly. "I used to help clean your house back when your late husband still ran the shop. People called me Mrs. Mina." Then I remembered. The woman who used to come once a week, mopping floors and ironing clothes, always telling stories about her child who worked in a factory. "Mrs. Mina?" I said with a weak smile. "I'm sorry, my eyes aren't as sharp anymore." She chuckled, then turned serious. "I just came from your old house. The one that has new owners now. My chest tightened. Oh, it's occupied already? Yes, ma'am. I was hired to clean. They're moving in next week. While I was shifting the wooden wardrobe in the back room, I found this. She raised the envelope. It was stuck behind the cabinet, covered in dust. There's your husband's name on it. She handed it to me. My hands trembled as I took it. On the front, in handwriting I knew too well, it read, "For Wadianty, do not lose this." My late husband's handwriting. My throat dried. Mrs. Mina, may I open it now? Of course, ma'am. That's why I came straight here. I was afraid it might get lost if I gave it to someone else. I took a deep breath and slowly opened the envelope. Inside was a thick yellowed bank document, a certified check. The number made my vision blur. $450,000. In the lower corner, written in pen, "Our savings. If I'm gone, use this for your old age." My hands shook violently. "Oh my God," was all I could whisper. "That's a lot, right?" Mrs. Mina asked carefully. "This is $450,000, I said in a voice scarcely audible. Her eyes widened. "My goodness, no wonder your husband always looked so busy. I thought it was just the shop." Suddenly, memories clicked into place. Months before he died, my husband often traveled between cities, Cleveland, Detroit, talking about land deals and meetings with bank people. He must have stored the money as a special deposit and hid the envelope behind the wardrobe for safety. Then he fell seriously ill and never had the chance to tell me. I covered my mouth, tears pouring freely. "All this time," I said brokenly, "I was drowning, losing my house to the bank while this money—" Mrs. Mina sat on the plastic chair by the door. "That's why I came straight here. I didn't have the heart to leave it. I'm just a cleaner, but I know better than to take what isn't mine." I looked at her. "Thank you, Mrs. Mina. If not for you, this envelope might have been thrown away." She nodded. "But checks have expiration dates, don't they?" she asked carefully. Her question jolted me. I checked the date. 10 years ago. My chest tightened again. "What if it's no longer valid?" I whispered. "I have to go to the bank today." A few hours later, I sat across from another officer at Westbridge National Bank. This one was older, wearing glasses. "So you found this check in your old house?" he asked after reviewing it. "Yes, my husband passed away 10 years ago. I only found it now." He nodded calmly. "Normally, checks expire within months, but this document represents funds held in a special deposit account under your late husband's name. Let me check the system." His fingers typed. I held my breath, as if waiting for a life or death verdict. After a moment, he leaned closer to the screen. "You're fortunate. This account was frozen due to lack of inheritance claims. The principal balance is still intact. Interest is recorded as well, minus administrative fees." "So the money is still there?" I asked softly. "In principle, yes, but to withdraw it, you'll need to go through inheritance processing, marriage certificate, death certificate, family records. It would be best if you worked with a notary." "A notary?" The word sounded enormous to someone like me. The officer smiled gently. "Your husband used a notary affiliated with this bank. His name is Mr. Harold Darmond. He handled the original deposit paperwork. I can contact him for you." The name stirred something familiar. My husband had mentioned it once or twice. "I met Darmond today. Old friend. He helped with documents." "Yes, please," I said quickly. The notary office wasn't far. Simple, neat, walls lined with files. A gray-haired man with round glasses greeted me warmly. "Mrs. Whitman?" he asked, shaking my hand. "I'm Harold Darmond. I was a friend of your husband, Mr. Samuel Whitman, correct?" I nodded. We sat down. I told him everything. The foreclosure, the cramped rental, the envelope.
He listened quietly, nodding, sighing occasionally. "Your husband once told me," he said softly, "if something happens to me, Harold, help my wife. She's too gentle, too easy to take advantage of." I lowered my head. He probably wanted to tell me, but got sick too fast. Darman sighed. "Life works in strange ways. But now what matters is moving forward. This money is yours." "But my children," I hesitated. "Especially with a sum this large, you must be careful. Money can change people. For now, tell no one except those you truly trust." My mind went straight to Lucas, holding the velvet ring box. "My youngest son," I said. "He's the one who took me in when the others refused. He even sold his wedding ring so we could eat." Darman looked at me for a long moment. "Then you already know who truly loves you, not for your money." I nodded. "I'll handle all the inheritance documents," he continued. "It may take time, but I'll do my best. As for my fee, don't worry. Consider it a promise kept to an old friend." "I don't have money," I said quickly. "I know," he smiled. "We'll talk about it after the funds." A few days after meeting Mr. Darmaji, life in the rental house went on exactly the same. I swept the floor, cooked rice, and held Oliver close whenever his sleep turned restless. The only difference was that inside my worn canvas bag now lay a check worth $700,000, an amount that felt far too large for someone as small as me. That night, after Anna and Oliver had fallen asleep, I sat on the floor with Lucas. A dim lamp glowed softly between us. "Lucas," I said quietly, "I need to tell you something, but you have to promise not to tell anyone yet." "Yes, Mom, what is it?" I took out the brown envelope, opened it, and handed him the check. He stared at the number for a long time, as if his eyes were playing tricks on him. $700,000? His voice barely came out. "Yes," I said. "Your father left this. I just found it in the old house. The bank said the money is still there. Mr. Darmaji is helping with the paperwork." Lucas looked at me intently. "If this clears, Mom, you could buy a house again. We could live decently. You wouldn't have to sleep cramped like this anymore." "I could," I said softly, "but money this big makes people forget who they are. That's why I don't want Adrian and Claire to know yet. I'm afraid they'll only see the numbers, not me." Lucas fell silent for a moment. "So you think they'll fight over it?" I remembered slammed doors, locked gates, the way even asking for a place to sleep had felt like too much for them. "Lucas, if they reacted that way when I had nothing, imagine what happens when they hear about $700,000. He exhaled slowly. "All right, Mom, don't worry. I'm here to protect you. That money is yours. When everything is settled, we'll think carefully." I held his hand. For the first time since our house was taken, I didn't feel completely empty. What I didn't expect was that gossip and the banking system would move faster than my own steps. A few days later, I was hanging laundry when the sound of cars echoed at the end of the narrow lane. Children ran past, pointing excitedly. Cars rarely came this far in. 2 vehicles stopped. From the first stepped Adrian, neatly dressed in a pressed shirt, followed by Sophia. From the second came Dr. Claire Whitman and her husband Joseph Turner. They stood awkwardly in the narrow alley, like people who had arrived at the wrong address. Anna emerged from the kitchen. "Lucas, it looks like your brother and sister are here," she whispered. Lucas stepped outside. "Is this really where you live?" Adrian asked stiffly, his eyes scanning the stained walls and corrugated metal roof. Claire wrinkled her nose slightly. "Let's go inside. It's hot out here." They entered without waiting for an invitation. Our small living space instantly felt suffocating. I moved the laundry off a plastic chair. "What brings all of you here?" I asked, trying to stay calm. Adrian spoke bluntly. "Mom, we heard you're processing Dad's inheritance, a large sum. Is that true?" My heart pounded. "Where did you hear that?" Joseph answered flatly. "I work at a bank, Mrs. Whitman. Your late husband's name came up when there was activity on an old account. That's how I knew you were handling a deposit." Claire added, her tone clinical as if addressing a patient. "What shocked us is why you didn't say anything. Why go to a notary in secret?" "I wasn't sure of anything yet. The process isn't finished. I didn't want to give false hope." "Or you were hiding it because you were afraid we'd ask for our share," Adrian cut in coldly. The words pierced me. "Adrian, don't talk like that," Lucas said. "Mom is just confused." Adrian shot him a sharp look. "You're the most suspicious one. You live with her. You knew first. It's easy to influence her." "I never told Mom to do anything," Lucas shot back. "I took her in because you refused." Adrian ignored him and turned back to me. "Mom, honestly, $700,000 is too much for you to manage alone. You're old. People can deceive you. Notaries, lawyers, they're all looking for profit. It's safer if we handle it." My chest tightened. "You mean the money goes under your name or Joseph's, and I just get an allowance?" Joseph shrugged. "It's for your own good. At your age, memory declines. You might sign the wrong thing." Claire added quickly, "Medically speaking, cognitive decline is common. We can have you evaluated. If you're deemed incompetent, legally we can manage the funds." "So now you're saying I'm not sane?" My voice trembled. "Not like that, Mom," Claire said with a thin smile. "We're protecting you." Lucas stepped forward. "Protecting her or protecting your wallets? When Mom needed a place to stay, you told her to find a nursing home. Now you hear about the money and suddenly show up with 2 cars?" Adrian's face hardened. "Watch your mouth, Lucas. Our lives aren't easy either. Our kids go to expensive schools. If that money falls into ignorant hands, everyone loses." Ignorant hands. I knew exactly who he meant. I looked at them one by one. "When you needed tuition money, rent money, what did I sell to help you? Did I ever ask anything back? Now, just once, I have something of my own. Why are you so quick to come and take control?" Claire sighed. "We're your children too. We don't want you being manipulated by Lucas. If I didn't take Mom in, where would she be sleeping? On the sidewalk?" The room felt airless. Oliver curled into Anna's arms, confused by the tension. Finally, Adrian spoke quietly, but sharply. "If you stay stubborn, Mom, we'll take another route. We can go to the police, claim Lucas is exploiting an elderly woman." Lucas stared at him. "Don't joke about that." "Let the authorities decide," Adrian replied coldly. The threat hung in the air. "Please go home," I said weakly. "I'm tired. I need time to think." They left, their expensive perfume lingering long after their cars disappeared down the lane. That night I couldn't sleep. The fan hummed, but my head echoed with their words. Police, incompetent, we manage the money. Lucas lay on the floor, eyes still open. "Mom," he whispered, "if they really report me, what can I do?" I looked at my youngest son. Tired face, honest eyes. All my life I stayed silent when blamed, but something moved inside my chest, anger mixed with courage. If I stay quiet now, it won't just destroy me, it will destroy the only child who still gives me a home. The next morning, I went to Mr. Darmaji's office alone. After listening, he sighed deeply. "I suspected this," he said. "Money like this often turns family against each other." "I love all my children," I said quietly, "but the only one who truly takes care of me is Lucas." He looked at me seriously. "Mrs. Whitman, do you feel mentally capable?" I gave a bitter smile. "If an old woman who wants control over her own life is called selfish, maybe I'm crazy." He smiled gently. "From the way you speak, remember details, and reason, I'm confident you're fully competent." Then he opened a file. "In that case, we should prepare a will." I nodded slowly. "I want to buy a modest, livable house, not luxurious, just enough. One room for me, one for Lucas, Anna, and Oliver, so we never have to fear being evicted again." For the first time, I wasn't just accepting fate, I was choosing it.
"All right," he said while writing it down. "Second, I want to provide proper business capital for Lucas. He's been taking odd jobs all his life. If he can open a small diner for construction workers or a modest hardware store, anything that can give him stability so he never has to sell his wedding ring again when trouble comes." Mr. Darmaji smiled. "And third, I want to set aside an education fund for my grandchildren, especially Oliver. If later Luna or Vivian need help, the money can be used, but through a trustworthy administrator, not handed directly to their parents." "And for Adrian and Claire themselves?" Mr. Darmaji asked carefully. I took a deep breath. The question felt like a thorn lodged in my throat. "I don't want to list them as primary beneficiaries for now," I said at last. "I've already given them many chances. I paid for their education. I helped them stand on their own. Now, the only thing I want is a few peaceful years of life. If one day they truly change, if they come not because of money, I will still be their mother, but I will no longer hand my entire life over to people who clearly see me as a burden." Mr. Darmaji nodded slowly. "Then we'll state that the estate will be managed according to your wishes. The majority will secure your well-being and Lucas's, the remainder for grandchildren and charity with no fixed allocation to Adrian and Claire at this time." "That's right," I said. "I don't want revenge. I just don't want to keep being a victim." He looked at me with a respect I had never received from my own children. "Your decision is entirely reasonable. I'll prepare the draft, we'll read it together, and then you can sign. And about the police threats, don't worry. If they try anything, I'll step in. I know exactly who is exploiting whom in this story." When I left his office, I paused on the sidewalk. The midday breeze moved gently. The smell of fried food drifted from a nearby stall. For the first time, I felt taller. I didn't know what Adrian and Claire would do next. They might get angry. They might humiliate me. But I was no longer walking without direction. I had made my own decision. And for the first time, I chose to protect the person who had protected me all along. If life wanted to repay people for their actions, let life handle that. My task now was simple: to make sure I never again allowed myself to be trampled by anyone, even my own children. The day of the notary meeting finally arrived. My stomach had been in knots since morning. Lucas, Anna, and I took a shared ride. We left Oliver with a neighbor. All the way there, I clutched my cloth bag tightly, as if it contained my life itself. Mr. Darmaji's office felt tenser than usual. 2 luxury cars were parked outside. I recognized them immediately: Adrian's car and Joseph's. Inside, they were already seated. Adrian in an expensive shirt, Sophia beside him with a designer handbag, Dr. Claire in crisp professional attire, Joseph sitting next to her, expressionless. They all turned as I entered. "Well," Adrian greeted flatly, You finally showed up, Mom. Mr. Dharmaji came out of his office. Good, everyone is here. Let's move to the conference room and discuss this calmly. We sat around a long table. A stack of documents lay before me. My heart pounded. Mr. Dharmaji began. Some time ago, Mrs. Whitman came to me with a deposit check left by her late husband. After verification, the principal remains intact. Legally, this money belongs to her as the primary heir. Adrian interrupted immediately. We don't dispute that. What concerns us is management. Our mother is old. We're worried she's being influenced by Lucas. Claire nodded. She forgets things. She sometimes tells me the same story repeatedly. That's a sign. Dr. Claire, Mr. Dharmaji interrupted calmly, before we go further, please read this. He slid a document toward them. This is a written evaluation from an independent psychiatrist who examined Mrs. Whitman last week. Not my acquaintance, not hers. The conclusion is clear. Mrs. Whitman is fully competent to make legal decisions. Her memory is age-appropriate. No signs of mental impairment. Claire froze. Adrian frowned deeply. So, Mr. Dharmaji continued, there is no basis to claim incapacity. We must respect her autonomy. Lucas glanced at me. I took a slow breath. Now, Mr. Dharmaji said, pulling out another file, regarding distribution, as per the law, this money belongs to Mrs. Whitman. She has prepared a will. I will read it aloud. The room went silent. First, he began, a portion of the funds will be used to purchase a modest residential home registered under Mrs. Whitman and her youngest son, Lucas Whitman. This home will serve as their permanent residence, so Mrs. Whitman will no longer have to move from one rental to another. I felt Lucas tense beside me. Across the table, Adrian's face hardened. Seriously, Mom? You're giving a house to Lucas? The house is for me too, Adrian, so I have a place to live until I die. Lucas is the one caring for me. It's only fair his name is included. Adrian clicked his tongue, but said nothing. Second, Mr. Dharmaji continued, a portion of the funds will be allocated as business capital, managed by Lucas and his wife Anna. The type of business is flexible, a hardware store, small diner, or similar, aimed at financial stability. Anna covered her mouth, clearly shocked. That's unfair, Claire cut in. Everything goes to Lucas? Please let me finish, Mr. Dharmaji said firmly. Third, funds will be set aside for education of the grandchildren, particularly Oliver. If Luna or Vivian require assistance in the future, the funds may be used through a managed trust, not directly handed to parents. Sophia and Joseph exchanged looks. Their children were included, but not under their control. Fourth, Mr. Dharmaji continued, a portion of the funds will be allocated to social causes, including senior homes and orphan support, per Mrs. Whitman's request. Claire crossed her arms. And for us? She asked sharply. Mr. Dharmaji glanced at the document. The will does not assign a direct share to Adrian Clark or Dr. Claire Whitman at this time. The room froze. What? Adrian's voice rose. Mom, what does this mean? I looked down briefly, then met their eyes. It means this time I choose to protect myself first. I've given you both a lot already. Your father sold land to pay Adrian's tuition. I worked myself to exhaustion helping Claire become a doctor. When I fell and needed a place to stay, you refused. Lucas opened his door. So now that I have something, it's reasonable that I secure my life and his first. Claire let out a short, bitter laugh. So all our sacrifices mean nothing? We sent money, we visited, we brought fruit. I shook my head. Visiting briefly and bringing fruit is not the same as sharing a cramped home and selling wedding rings so we can eat. Adrian glared at Lucas. Happy now? You got Mom on your side? Lucas met his gaze, face flushed but voice steady.
I never asked Mom to choose. I just didn't close the door when she had nowhere to go. Mr. Dharmaji spoke again, calm but firm. My role is not to judge family relations. Legally, this will is valid. Morally, Mrs. Whitman's reasoning is clear. The tension hadn't settled when Adrian's phone rang again and again. He answered irritably. Yes? Hello? I'm in a family meeting. The voice on the other end clearly wasn't trivial. His face drained of color. What? The main investor pulled out? Why? A leaked report? This must be a mistake. The call ended. He clenched his phone. His jaw tightened. What happened? Sophia asked anxiously. There's a problem at the company. Financial reports are being questioned. The investor ordered the project halted. Before the air could clear, Joseph's phone rang. He listened, then stiffened. Yes, sir, I understand. Internal investigation. What data do you need? I'll cooperate. He hung up and turned to Claire. The bank's board is investigating suspicious transactions, including collaborations with the pharmaceutical company you recommended. Claire stiffened. What do you mean? Everything was procedural. I don't know, but your name came up. The room fell silent again. Inside, something stirred uneasily within me, as if consequences were finally moving. Mr. Dharmaji sighed. I won't interfere in your professional matters, but I will ensure one thing. Mrs. Whitman's funds are secure. They will not be used to patch business losses or legal problems. Adrian looked at me, anger mixed with fear. So you're really leaving us to deal with this alone? I shook my head. The problems you're facing weren't created by me. They're the result of your own choices.
Every morning when I wake up, I need a few seconds to realize that I am no longer living in a cramped rental, no longer in a house on the verge of foreclosure, and no longer sleeping behind a shop counter. Across from our home stands a small roadside diner. A wooden sign out front reads, Ranga's Home-Style Kitchen. The menu is simple: vegetables, fried tofu, eggs, homemade chili sauce. But construction workers and bus drivers love it. Sometimes I sit on one of the diner's benches, peeling onions while chatting with customers. So now Oliver's dad is a real boss, I teased one morning. Lucas laughed. Not even close, Mom, but at least now the electricity never gets shut off. Anna carried plates to the tables. Oliver ran around the yard chasing the neighbor's chickens. Our life was still full of work, but no longer full of fear. One afternoon, I was sweeping the porch when I heard the television from inside the house. Anna had turned on the news. Mom, come look at this, she called. On the screen, large, bold letters flashed. Renowned medical specialist involved in healthcare corruption scandal. Below it was a photo of Dr. Claire Whitman wearing an orange detainee uniform, her hands cuffed, escorted by officers. Reporters crowded around, microphones thrust forward. The news anchor spoke evenly. Dr. Claire Whitman is suspected of accepting kickbacks from pharmaceutical companies, inflating patient treatment costs, and manipulating medical records. I froze. Not because I felt proud or vindicated, but because it hurt to see the child I once struggled to feed with formula now appearing on television as a criminal suspect. On screen, Claire kept her head down. A reporter shouted, "Doctor, is this true?" The broadcast cut abruptly. The hospital where she worked has officially terminated her employment. Westbridge National Bank is also investigating suspicious financial flows connected to her husband, Joseph Satria. Anna quietly turned off the TV. I'm sorry, Mom. If you don't want to watch, we can change the channel. I let out a long breath. It's okay, Anna. From the beginning, I said life would handle the payback, not me. Now they're facing the consequences of their own choices. Inside me, disappointment and love mixed. Claire had chosen her path. I couldn't pull her back anymore. All I could do was stop sacrificing the rest of my life to clean up the aftermath of her decisions. A few weeks later, karma came again from a completely different direction. That afternoon, I was walking home from the community clinic after checking my blood pressure. Near a major intersection, I saw a group of people sitting on the sidewalk selling tissues and bottled water. Among them was a man with unkempt gray hair, worn clothes, and a black plastic bag by his side. At first, I only glanced briefly, but as I drew closer, my heart nearly stopped. It was Adrian Clark. He sat hunched over, holding a small bottle of water. The face that once appeared on billboards now looked wrinkled and exhausted. Above him was no longer a sign that read Clark Holdings, but a faded advertisement for something else entirely. My steps slowed automatically. Lucas, walking beside me, stared too. "Mom," he whispered. Bits and pieces of news I'd heard over time suddenly connected in my head. Failed projects, investors pulling out, problematic financial reports, mounting debt, restaurants closing one by one. Sophia filed for divorce, taking Kevin and Luna with her. The luxury house in Cinnabon Heights? Gone. Adrian had fallen, lower and lower, until here. I stopped a few steps in front of him. He hadn't noticed me yet. Only when I said his name did he look up. "Adrian." His eyes widened, his face stiffened, then collapsed. "Mom," he whispered. In an instant, I saw flashes of the little boy who used to run across our yard flying kites. Then another image, the man behind a grand front door, closing it in my face. He tried to stand, but his body wobbled. Lucas quickly held his shoulder. "Careful," Lucas said. He lowered his head. Tears fell onto the sidewalk. "I've fallen, Mom, completely," he said. "Everything's gone. Friends, work, house. Sophia left. Kevin won't see me. I don't even know where Luna is anymore." His voice trembled. "I'm like you were back then, sitting on the roadside waiting for anyone to buy something. I didn't let you into my house because I was afraid of what people would say. Now I'm the one people stare at." His words cut deeply. Part of me whispered, "This is what he deserves." But another part only saw my own child falling apart right in front of me. I sat down on the concrete bench nearby. From my cloth bag, I took out the food I had brought from home, a simple boxed meal. "Here," I said, handing it to him. He accepted it with trembling hands. "I don't deserve anything from you. Whether you deserve it or not, that's God's business. I just can't stand seeing you hungry." He opened the box and ate slowly, as if the food would disappear if he chewed too fast. People passed by, glanced briefly, then moved on. After a few bites, he spoke again. "Mom, I'm not asking you to forgive me right now. I just want to say one thing. When you stood in front of my house back then, I shut the door because I was ashamed. Ashamed of the neighbors, ashamed of my guests, ashamed because I thought you made me look bad." He swallowed hard. "It turns out the most shameful thing isn't having a poor mother, it's having a heart that shallow toward the person who loves you the most." Tears fell again. Lucas lowered his head, wiping his face with the back of his hand. I took a long breath. "I'm the mother of all three of you. I was angry, yes. I was hurt, yes. But I never wanted any of you to be destroyed. I just can't give everything I have anymore to fill the holes you dig yourselves. When you had everything, you chose other people. Now I'm old, and I have the right to rest." Adrian nodded slowly. I understand, Mom. I won't ask for a single dollar. I'm just grateful you still spoke to me. I stood up. If you ever need food, you can come to Lucas's diner. Not every day, but if you're truly hungry, just say so. Tell them you're my son. He looked at me stunned. But about living together, about the $7 million, everything has already been arranged. That's no longer your concern. Take care of your own life first. He lowered his head again, but this time there was a faint light in his eyes. Not hope of becoming rich again, just the hope that at least one person in this world hadn't completely abandoned him. We said goodbye. As we walked away, Lucas walked silently beside me. After a moment, he asked softly, "Mom, do you regret it, giving him food?" I shook my head. If I repaid him with cruelty, how would I be any different from him back then? Life is already harsh enough, but I also won't hand over everything in this house again. That evening, I sat on the porch. Oliver came home from school, his uniform starting to feel too small. "Grandma, I got a good grade today," he said, proudly, showing me his book. I smiled and stroked his head. Inside the house, Anna prepared tea. Lucas closed the diner for a short break. On the TV, news about Claire's case appeared briefly again, then switched to another program. Life went on. I looked at the sky, now tinged with red, and spoke silently to my late husband. "You trusted me with that money. I used it well, not to show off, but to have a home, to protect the child who truly protects me, to help grandchildren who want to learn, and a little for people who walk the same hard path." The pain from the past hadn't disappeared, but it no longer controlled my breath. There were scars, yes, but also relief. I had once been thrown out of my child's house, slept on a wooden bed frame, given $5 like a beggar. Now I sat on the porch of my own home, surrounded by imperfect but sincere people. Life is not always fair, but in the end, everyone harvests what they plant. My task is no longer chasing love that refuses to return. My task now is simple: to take care of myself, to protect this small home, and to teach my grandchild that parents are not burdens, they are trusts that must be honored. And this time, I will make sure my door stays open for anyone who comes with a sincere heart, including
Perhaps one day my lost children will finally, truly want to come home.